I'm putting this 1956 International pickup truck body on a 2002 Cadillac Escalade frame. And I'm just starting to cut the frame and the body to make them fit together, and I'll go over what I've done so far. As you can see on the frame, sides here, I've cut off all the old body mounts. They used to stick out there. I got rid of them. I needed to take them off so I had clearance for the fenders and the running boards. And also I've shortened up the back of the frame, which might even shorten up a little bit more. I'm going to leave a little bit there because I'm going to put the trailer hitch back on and build a bumper off of that, so I need a little bit there. And also too, I cut out the entire, I wonder if you can see it here, the entire spare tire carrier from underneath the truck. Cut that out. I needed to get that out of there because it interfered with the truck bed. To get the bed to sit level on there, I had to do some trimming around the shocks, and also I had to flare this part of the frame or the bed here to get around the frame. And now it sits about as low as it can go. If you can see back in there, might be tough to see, but the cross member from the bed is sitting right on top of the cross member for the frames, so I can't really get it much lower without doing a whole bunch of modifications. As you can see, the filler tube is coming out there. I'll probably have to put that right about here someplace. I haven't quite decided on that yet. Inside the cab, worked out pretty good. I was worried about room for the transmission, but that all seems to be good. Not any major issues in here. Everything fits pretty good on this side, but on the other side, I'm running into a clearance problem with the valve cover. I'm going to have to trim this part of the firewall back. You see I've got a line on there. I plan on cutting that out and putting a flat piece of metal straight across. While I'm doing that, I'm going to patch all the extra holes in the firewall here. Basically, the only ones I'm keeping on this side are these three holes. They hold the heater box in there. The old heater lines came through here. I'm going to weld those shut and relocate them to the other side here. And that will allow me to get the heater lines routed closer to the engine and leave me a space for the battery right here. I'm going to close up all of these openings in the dash or in the firewall. I did check with the steering and the brakes. I'm going to have to relocate this hole for the steering too. Here's the steering rod for the Escalade, and I'm going to have to route that a little bit further over this way. So I'm going to weld that up and then I'll cut that out later on. Speaking of this heater box, I did do some modifications to it too. I pulled it out, and the old heater core was, looks like it had been leaking, and I didn't want to use it anyway. I thought if it wasn't leaking, it would be soon. But I dug around through my old parts, and I found I had a heater core for a 2009 Mustang, which fits almost perfectly inside that box. So that was a real bonus. The lines on it were completely different. I had to shorten them up quite a bit, and then I rolled a bead into the end of them. I just modified a vice grip plier to do that. And if you're interested more about that, I did make a short video on how I actually, it shows how I made that bead. I'll put a link to that into the description. So I think that'll work out good. And as I said, I put the lines on the other side of the heater box to relocate them. The motor too on the heater was in tough shape. As you can see there, insulation had been chewed off by mice or whatever. And I tried to pull the motor apart to replace those wires, solder in new ones, but I couldn't get it apart. So luckily, I had another old part kicking around. This is the heater box off a 1960 F100. And coincidentally, the motor was almost identical. So I swapped the motor over and it works. And so I think I'll be able to get that heater working again with recycled parts, which is a real bonus. Inside the cab here, I did check the wiper motor, and it works as well. Originally I hooked it up to a 12-volt battery, and it was going like crazy, like super fast. And then I realized, oh yeah, this truck was 6 volts. So I tried it with 6 volts and it went at a more normal speed. So I'll have to get a 12 volt to 6 volt converter to get that changed. Other thing I forgot to mention with the heater lines here, I'm going to have to put a little H pipe in there as well, a crossover. Apparently with these LS engines, you need to have coolant circulating through there all the time. So I'm going to have to put that in to make it all work. So I think that's about it for this update. Thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully I can get that cab off and start doing modifications to it soon.